Sarah, thank you so much for joining me on the podcast. I'm so excited to be finally chatting with you again.
Happy to be here, truly.
Some quick little snafus, but we'll work through it, right?
Yeah, you know what? Technical difficulties are part of doing this. So,
Yes.
we roll with the punches, just like in aviation.
There you go. All right, so let's start off by just learning more about you. Tell us about yourself, how you got into aviation, things like that.
Yeah, so I am a commercial pilot with my instrument rating. I started flying in April of 2023, and I have just about 850 hours. So
Wow.
I fly a ton. I fly basically 300 hours a year. I am a Cirrus owner. I have owned an SR-22 or a variation of that. I owned an SR-22T before the 22 that I have now. Bought that in August of 2023, got my PPL in September of 2023, and then I transitioned from the Cessna 172 into the SR-22. I have been creating aviation content since mid-2023 when I first started flying, and it has just blown up over the last several years.
Yeah.
And now I'm an ambassador for Cirrus, promoting the Cirrus life and trying to get more people into GA that aren't, as familiar with it as all of us are.
Yeah, right. So you talked about, like, you've had your PPL since 2023. How did you get into aviation?
So, funnily enough, it was really bad exposure therapy. I hated flying. Turbulence scared me so badly. And I'm a professional actor for my, day job, I like to say. And I always have to fly for one thing or another. So I said, this can't be the way that my life goes. I can't be afraid every time I get on a flight. This is terrible.
Yeah.
So I Googled way to get, I always would do this. I would Google ways to get over turbulence, right? And one article suggested taking a discovery flight. They were like, you'll get in an old Cessna and you're never going to be afraid of anything ever again. So I said, all right, you know what? Fine, let's do it. So I got off the plane and I called a flight school and I went for a discovery flight, and my heart was pounding the whole time. But it went from nervousness to excitement to, oh my gosh, I think I can do this.
Yeah, that's awesome. So I guess you could say that the aviation bug bit you pretty hard on that discovery flight then?
Insane. It was like just a thing clicked. It's like my brain went from here to here suddenly. And then, 5.5 months later, I had my PPL and I had a plane and we were flying it from Seattle to Florida to start the next,
Oh, wow.
adventure of our life. Yeah.
That's not a small flight either.
I know. And I took an instructor with me. It was like how I started my transition training.
Yeah.
And she was awesome. Helen Cernick. She is a fabulous Cirrus instructor, has flown all over the world. She's insane. And she really locked me in early.
So you talk about acting as your day job. Tell us a little bit about your acting, how that started. It sounds like you've got quite the past with that. I
do. So I started performing professionally when I was 6. My first gig was modeling, which is crazy to look back at now because I can't be a model. I'm 5 feet tall. They will not let me anywhere near modeling. So I started out modeling, and then when I was 8, I did my first professional ballet. And then when I was 13, I auditioned for a national tour of Bear in the Big Blue House Live, and I booked it. And I went on tour and was homeschooled. So I toured around the country. We were flying once, twice, 3 times, 4 times a week. And it's surprising that aviation didn't bite me back then, but I was on planes going to work as a 13-year-old, and then I just kept doing that. Worked at Disney in my late teens, early 20s. I was a Disney princess for a long time, and then I've just done theater since then, and I moved to New York, and things have been really incredible. So I do shows around the country. I do shows in New York. Just depends on where they need actors.
Yeah. What is the Disney life like?
Chaotic.
I was going to say, that sounds like it would be like this every single day.
It is. It really is. So I was a Disney princess, and you're just basically standing around meeting people all day. Yeah. So a lot of people at Cirrus watch me do 2.5-hour meet and greets in the direct sunlight, and are like, "How do you do it?" Well, I used to do this for 12 hours a day, 6-7 days a week. So this is nothing.
That sounds like a lot.
It was a lot, but people were lining up to meet Tinkerbell or Ariel. These people are lining up to meet me, which is insane and just so humbling.
That's gotta have a different feel for it then.
It makes it, you're going to work when you're Tinkerbell, but I'm coming here thrilled to meet these amazing humans, and I'm just, it blows me away. It makes me very weepy.
Tell me about what was so rewarding about that, or even it's still your current gig. So what do you find rewarding about being in theater and acting?
So I love the instant gratification of doing high school theater. I do film and TV every once in a while, but it's not the same. Getting to hear people laugh when you say something funny or make a funny face or, do something funny with your body, it's just instant gratification. It's those endorphins just go crazy. People applauding or cheering after you finish singing. I mean, it really just moves me. And I love the idea that theater changes every night. You know, it's just like flying. It's always different. Every flight is different. You learn something during every show or every flight. And it's just incredible to get to kind of experience that energy with people in the room. You know, doing 8 shows a week is hard, but it is like the most rewarding thing ever.
Something that I've heard about performers, and maybe you can correct me if I'm wrong, is it accurate that not just like people within social media, but even acting are like secretly introverted too?
Yeah, I think that like it's kind of like after my day at Oshkosh, I just go home and like stare at the ceiling.
Yeah.
Because it is, we're putting like all of our energy and like everything we have into these performances.
Yeah.
But I mean, theater people are crazy. Like, we're nuts. Having a group of theater people is like having the most insane people ever. So I'm very choosy about who I put in my plane because I'm like, you have to know that you have to be quiet at certain points.
Right.
Theater people aren't very good at being quiet at certain points, honestly.
Yeah. That sterile cockpit rule and all that stuff.
Exactly.
So let's talk about your flying a little bit more. So you've taken your flying and really shared it with the world by putting it online, being on Instagram and all the socials. Talk to me about how you decided to go down that path of sharing your aviation with everybody.
So before I was an aviation content creator, I streamed live on Twitch, and I was doing that 7 days a week. I streamed a game that actually my husband was a co-creator of, so that's how we met, is through me streaming. But I started to kind of lose my love of streaming and playing video games like that. I've always loved video games, but then having to do it for work, it just kind of like wore on me. So I started, you know, every once in a while making aviation reels and kind of seeing how it went, and people were really liking it. And then I went to Hilton Head Island for one of my first hot dogs. One of my first hot dogs ever. One of my first $100 hamburger flights was to Hilton Head with my husband, and we got out of the plane and I was like, this is so cool. No one outside of aviation knows what this is that we're doing.
Yeah.
I would love to share this with people. So I just started this little FBO series. Let me share the, FBOs I'm going to. And people started to really enjoy it, and it was a slow fade. People love to watch people fly, but not as much, the on the ground, boots on the ground kind of stuff. So it took a little bit for it to catch on, but then I realized this is such a cool mission. I'm going to try to go to every airport in the United States, and that's what I'm doing right now.
So I assume that it didn't just start with, I'm going to go to all the airports. Like, it evolved into that over time, right?
It kind of did. It kind of was just like, you know what? Let's have a good time. Like, I'm just going to go fly to every airport in the United States. Why not? That sounds like a fun thing to do. And then also, it's 5,000 airports. That is, I'll never run out of content, right? So, it's 90% is I'm really excited to do it. And then the 10% is like, oh, this will be a really cool thing to document.
Yeah, for sure. You mentioned how many airports there are within the country to go visit. How do you plan that or prepare for that? Or do you just kind of go on a whim and like, where is the plane going to take me today?
That's a great question. I really do wing it, pun intended. Sometimes it'll be like the night before and I'm like, I'm going to go fly out tomorrow and just go see a bunch of airports, and I'll look where I am and then I'll go, and then I'll pick some airports and I'll look at the comments. I try to hit the ones that people like, that have good FBOs.
Yeah.
I try not to like go out of my way to go somewhere where people are like, I don't like this airport at all. So yeah, it really is just like, where am I? What am I doing? You notice I hit a lot of East Coast things because my husband and I fly from Florida to New York often, and I'm always in North Carolina. So I look at that map now, and it is hard because I've hit so many in this specific area. I have to be like, what do I go to? Who has fuel? So a lot of times it's places that have fuel and stuff that's in the immediate area. And I really just pick airports and go. It's crazy. A lot less planning than you'd think.
Yeah, because I'm thinking about it, I'm like, I don't even know where I would start. Like, I don't even know how I'd hit all the airports in my state right now.
You gotta have some whimsy, and you gotta have a lot of free time.
Yeah, there you go. So, in your adventures checking out all these different FBOs, what have you learned or experienced along the way?
Every FBO has a story, and every airport has a really interesting history. They're not just like, here's a strip with whatever. They all have either people or places or structures or just the history of the town, and all of them have something unique to them. It's not just like a shack on a runway,
Yeah.
It really, the people are what make aviation amazing and what contribute to these, the heavy lore that comes with some of these spaces. So I don't want to spoil anything, but I am currently working on a television show version of my FBO journey. Yes. So we're hoping to highlight, these places that are kind of more in the middle of nowhere, right?
Yeah.
That people wouldn't necessarily see, and highlight, what's going on in like the restaurant scene and like community theater and like what's what makes these towns so amazing. And so I'm really just trying to highlight that when I visit these small airports.
That's exciting because I think it's super easy to like, here, let's look at this airplane or let's look at this airport. But the people and the stories behind it are so fascinating too.
Yeah, and for me, just being by myself making these videos, it's hard to do that. So like if and when I have a team that works on a show, then we can like reach out and do outreach when it comes to like interviews and stuff, because I just don't, it's just me. I edit everything, I record everything. So, you know, having a team will and would make things a lot easier.
Do you have like a love-hate relationship with the editing process?
Oh, it's mostly hate.
Okay.
Editing is so challenging. It's the thing that I like the least. I mean, it's mostly like lining everything up, you know, and then I actually like the process of kind of putting it all together, like putting the, you know, the frosting on the cake.
Right.
But it's that bulk part, like lining up the audio and all the technical stuff that is just like, what? I would love to hire someone to do it, but I am cheap. And I say that sitting in front of my Cirrus SR22, but I buy this and then I'm cheap with everything else. My favorite store is the Dollar Tree, and people really get on me about that. They're like, you'll buy a Cirrus, but you go to the Dollar Tree? I'm like, you're dang right I do. It's part of my charm.
So let's talk about your Cirrus. So clearly you have a fancy, shiny new airplane.
I do. She's gorgeous. So I did the XI program with Cirrus, which is a super cool program they have where you can customize from the tip to the tail. Like everything is custom. And of course there are limitations because it is an aircraft, so you can't just do anything. There is, you know, weight.
Right.
There are weight restrictions, and, you know, certain colors don't work as well. But I mean, it's all custom, like from every inch of the plane. And if you go, I actually want to do this, and they go, we're not sure if we can do that, they will go find out if they can do it. And they do it for everyone. Like anybody who's working in the XI program has this same kind of like very personal attention. They really work with you. And I mean, I got exactly what I wanted. There's nothing I would change on this plane.
Yeah. So you mentioned something about like the experience that you've had. I assume that, I mean, I've heard it from other Cirrus owners. It's beyond just like, okay, so you've got this Instagram or social media presence. Like, it's a lifestyle almost, it seems, with Cirrus owners. Tell me a little bit about that.
So it's the Cirrus life. I mean, the reason that they love me as an ambassador is because I am living that lifestyle that they are hoping to provide with planes like this. You know, these are very capable planes. You can take them almost anywhere. And they really want people outside of GA to get a taste of this, because that, you know, you just plant that little seed. You know, all of these people here at Oshkosh already love planes. Cirrus and I are working to get people outside of that bubble to come in. We're trying to trick them into the bubble so that they get excited about this kind of stuff. Yeah, Cirrus has really embraced me, and they really make me feel like part of the family. You know, at my delivery, we pulled in to the hangar, and there was like 50 to 100 employees just standing, waiting to watch the delivery. And that's when I started crying. I wasn't even seeing the airplane. It was just like, wow, this group of people has really embraced me, and they make me feel so special. Like, there's nothing bad behind the curtain, you know? You work with some brands, and it is... You peek behind the curtain, you're like, you know what, let me just put that back. But with Cirrus, it is not that. They truly believe in their product, and they truly believe in the Cirrus life and promoting GA, and I have had such an amazing time working with them.
That's fantastic. So you talked a bit about like tricking people into the bubble, so to speak. Do you feel a bit of like almost pressure or like a responsibility to be an ambassador, to not just for Cirrus, but for aviation with your presence?
I really do. The responsibility, it definitely... It weighs on me a little bit, but in a positive way, that I feel like it's so important for Cirrus to put a pink plane out here front and center as a feature plane, because, you know, we'll sit here and watch little girls just run up to the airplane, girls who probably don't care about planes at all, but they're at Oshkosh with their family, and suddenly that plane is for them. And this pink plane is for all of them. And I hope that every gal knows that this is not for me, like this is for all of us. And it means a lot to me that so many women have come to me to say how inspired they are. Oh, this cute little bug, he just can't get enough.
Keeps hanging out.
He can hang out, it's fine. But they just, you know, we just had a woman, you were sitting here, a woman came up and was like almost in tears. Was like, I can't believe I'm getting to meet you. I got my PPL because of you. That's crazy. Like that, but it definitely makes me feel like I need to continue to be as authentic as I have been, and continue to, you know, be exactly who I am, and not change based on, you know, the wind or how I'm feeling, or do clickbait videos. Like, I need to continue to stay authentic so that I can continue to inspire the next generation of pilots.
Absolutely. And I think that's one of the things that I think draw people to your channels, is because of that authenticity.
Thank you.
It's like you're just being you and having a good time with aviation, you know?
Thank you. I know people love to think that, like, you know, I get in the plane. Hi, Buggy. There's two. Cute. I get in the plane and I like put on a show. I'm like, no, unfortunately, I'm this way in real life, right? So I get in the plane and I just do what I do. I run my checklist. I take off. I do my thing. No clickbait. I'm not going anywhere to like make any clickbait. I just get in the plane and I make content. If it's cool, it's cool. If it's not, it's not. And I post it anyway, you know? But some people like the boring stuff. So it's like, you never know what people are going to like. So I really, really am the same way in videos as I am in real life. And
I feel like I felt that today.
Yeah, I mean, you probably get a glimpse. It's like, I'm just a girl, you know? I'm just a girl flying planes. And I'm really happy that it resonates with people and inspires people. And it shows them that, you know, you can be a super girly girl and still love airplanes. You know, you can have everything. Hi, we're in the middle of an interview. I'm so sorry. But it's so nice to meet you.
You didn't get that. How often does that happen to you?
You know, we joked that I should get a wig because I haven't gotten to enjoy the show, really. And it is humbling and very, very, very nice. So there is no hint of complaining in my voice, but I haven't really got to enjoy the show yet.
Because everyone's like, oh, hey.
It's awesome. It is weird. I feel like Taylor Swift for the week, you know? But like Mike Goulian, one time I was like, Mike, because I'm friends with Mike Goulian, I don't want to brag, but we were like walking out to a flight line together, and I was like, Mike, you're famous. And he was like, yeah, for 2 weeks out of the year. And I was like, okay, I stole that from him. So I'm only famous for 1 week out of the year, and it is awesome.
So I want to go back to that like authenticity that you have. So you've had some pretty, I guess, public emergencies with your aircraft just because you have filmed it and you have put yourself out there with that. So what was that like for you? Not just the experience of it, but like having the, just being humble enough to put it out there.
Oh, the peanut gallery. You know, if I wasn't in my mid 30s, I have a very thick skin from being in acting for so long that anybody could say anything to me and I'd be like, all right, you know, like whatever. I do love to clap back at people, but it doesn't get to me. It's more just like a fun game. Like to them, it's serious. To me, it's just a silly, fun game. But it really is important to me to not just share the, you know, wonderful moments and like, oh, look at me and my pretty Cirrus. It's like, this is real life. Like flying airplanes is not just like fun and games, and it's not a joke. It is very serious, and your life is often in your hands. So it was important to me to show the vulnerable side, even though when I posted, I was like, people are going to hate this. But most people have thought it was great, and I did a nice job. So, you know, like Hoover from Pilot Debrief said amazing things about it, and that made me feel really good that he was so, you know, so complimentary, even though I've just felt like I was crazy. But it's nice to have, honestly, because going back and watching what happened and debriefing, and it really gives me a look at what my decision making is like in high pressure situations, because everyone thinks they're a perfect pilot in my comments. Everyone is perfect.
Right.
Yeah, they're all like, well, I would have done this. And I'm like, well, you're perfect and good for you. You've never had a real emergency. But in the moment, you realize how the life is in your hands and you have to take control, and it is scary. And everyone's going to react differently, but ATC and I work together, and the point is I got on the ground safely, and I'm happy to help other people learn from it.
Yeah, and we talked a little bit earlier about that interaction you had with ATC. So say a little bit more about that.
So ATC was fabulous. They declared an emergency for me because I was only 2,000 feet AGL, which was technically below terrain for IFR. Yeah. So it was a pretty sticky situation, and I had no one else on the plane to talk to, so I definitely relied on them, and I definitely said too much, which I cut a little bit out of the video. Because I just did not want to be that vulnerable. I was like, there's a point where I have to like let it go. So, you know, I was pretty vulnerable and posted all of it, but they declared an emergency and they really talked me through it, and they didn't make me feel silly. And even after the fact, the woman who was on with ATC, and it was a woman, which was awesome, and she commented on my TikTok video and was like, you did great. You know, I'm so glad we got you on the ground
safely.
That's
so cool that she commented on it too.
Awesome. Even though so many people were like, this looks like it was faked. I'm like, how? Yeah. How? Like, the fear in my eyes, like, I'm not that good of an actor, and if you think I am, then call me, Hollywood.
I think that's what makes it so relatable, too. Like, how you handle it, and, like, you flew the airplane, right? And you just did what you had to do, and then once you're on the ground, you had your moment of, oh, wow, what just happened? It was just so genuine and authentic, I think.
It was like the most vulnerable I think I've ever been on social media. And even though we talked a little bit earlier about like, what are your cringe moments on social media? All of it's cringe to me. Everything I post, I'm like, oh, I'm such a doofus. Like, why do anybody like this? But I'm happy they do. But yeah, it's like just being humble enough to be like, I'm vulnerable, and here's me being vulnerable. You know, here it is. But I was PIC, and it's all about what I feel comfortable with. You know, we talked about the GPS loss. I was in IMC, and I lost all my GPS, so I had nothing. I had headings and my compass, you know, and my instruments were fine. But I lost all my GPS, and I was above a thick layer of icing on my IFR flight plan, direct to a fix. And every perfect pilot on Instagram's like, well, just load in the VORs and track in the radials. So I'm like, well, I'm on an IFR flight plan in IMC. It's not...
Right.
I'm also outside the New York City airspace. No one wants me tracking radials on the VORs. Like, that's not how we're doing this, right? So they were happy. They were like, great, we'll just get you on the ground, no problem. ATC doesn't care. And we were talking earlier about paperwork.
Yes, I was just going to ask you that as far as just it's extreme amount of paperwork they made you do after both of these situations.
No paperwork. Declare the emergency. You're PIC. Like, it's not worth being like, oh, I'm so embarrassed I declared an emergency. Like, I'm not embarrassed. I'm not embarrassed that I share these vulnerable moments. I'm glad that I do, because then they know it's serious and they know to work with me.
And it's the other thing that I like about it too is not just the vulnerability of it. It shows that real side of flying, that it's not just, hey, we're gonna go check out these cool airports. It's like it's real. The risks are real, and if you mitigate as much as you can and you prepare yourself and you just, again, fly the airplane, use the services that are there, you too can still have a successful outcome.
Yeah, it's all about training. You know, you got to train. I was very lucky. I had just finished my commercial training. We had run partial power loss, and so I was ready to go. Like, I locked in pretty fast.
Yeah, we talked earlier too about, like, I mean, my own emergency situation where I didn't declare it. ATC was looking out for me, and they said, we're worried about you. We see some things in front of you with the weather that are not going to be conducive to your situation with partial panels. So what's your intentions? And like,
I love when they say that, what's your intentions?
And I'm like, I feel like that's a clue.
Bingo. What's your intentions? And you're like, well, I'm declaring an emergency.
I think I'd like to go land over here now.
Yeah.
And I mean, for me, it was using the services that were available, telling them, all right, I'm going to divert this airport over here and reevaluate my situation. But knowing that, again, I think that there's so many people that are almost afraid of ATC, and it's just such a valuable service.
That's what they're there for. Yeah. Like, when I don't get flight following, I feel very nervous.
Oh, 100%.
Like, when I'm not talking to someone, I'm like, oh.
It's so quiet.
It's so quiet. I hate this.
You are an ambassador for Cirrus. You have a Cirrus. But I know that some people, just because of their situation, may feel like that's out of reach. So talk to me about how people can still engage in aviation in a meaningful way without maybe being afraid of the price tag of various aircraft that are on the market.
Definitely. And a lot of people ask me all the time, like, how do you afford this? I'm like, well, that's a loaded question to ask a complete stranger. But the reality is, people, see me flying this expensive, very highly capable aircraft and wonder, how do I do this? Yeah. So I started in aviation when I was 33. I already had an established career. I wasn't like trying to pick up scholarships. I wasn't 19, just like barely afloat. I have a very established career. I've been working a long time, and so this wasn't super out of reach for me. Like, I had a crush on my husband. Like, double income, no kids is amazing, but I do have an amazing supportive system behind me. But aviation isn't just this, right? So part of being authentic is being honest, and there are a lot of pathways for aviation that aren't owning a custom hot big Cirrus. And I realize that this is very extravagant, and there are so many pathways. There are people who've joined flying clubs, and that's an amazing way to get into aviation. Or, buying an airplane with 4 people, right? So, you can buy share in an airplane. That's what my grandfather did. It's not like, you can't just go like, Sarah pays a lot, so I can't do it. Yes, you can. You just, maybe this isn't where you start. Let's start somewhere else and then work your way up. Being a business owner and a content creator full-time and an actress, and my husband just retired, so I'm the breadwinner, unfortunately. But, like, people also really discount how much content creation makes. Like, people don't think about the fact that creating content and working with sponsors is a very lucrative job.
Sure.
So, I can't necessarily give you financial advice, but I can tell you that just because, money is a factor, there are plenty of ways to get into aviation. And, like, join your local 99s, like join your local EAA chapter. There are people out there that are there to help you, and there are so many scholarships out there. And I'm working on one myself. It is on my list of 3 billion things to do, but it is very high up there. So I'm working on an aviation scholarship for women. Because I want people to be able to do this. I don't want to just be like, look at me, I'm flying an airplane, and be like, I really want to make an impact. Exactly. I just really want to make an impact, and I'm trying to find out what the best way for that is. But, find people like that who are, like, doing scholarships. There are so many scholarships out there. There are pathways in that do not cost as much money and aren't as much barrier to entry as this. So don't be discouraged just because you see, this. There are so many ways in.
And you talk about how you started. I mean, you didn't start at 19 years old. You're established in your career and your life, and you've got a husband, and you've got your dogs.
Yeah.
And like, how do you get into that aviation mindset then? Because you went through that process pretty quickly to get your certificate.
I did. I mean, I just locked in. I dropped in. You know, when I realized how serious it was and how much I needed to take safety seriously, that's kind of how we ended up in the Cirrus, you know, just knowing that like this plane, they prioritize safety and they prioritize functionality and being easy to, you know, the avionics are so intuitive, and it really caught on super fast for me. So once I bought the Cirrus, I was like, I can't have this plane without having instrument rating. So I scheduled my instrument check ride before I got my PPL.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, I was not messing around. And I did an accelerated instrument program, so I knew I couldn't fly the super capable machine without having instrument. And then commercial came a little bit later after Cirrus was like, what do you think? You want to do a little instrument? You want to do a little commercial training with us? And I said, I sure do. But I really take it seriously, and I know that just having a PPL isn't quite enough, right? To be able to take this as seriously as you should.
Right, and especially the type of flying that you want to do, where you're going some distance.
I am going some distance through a very complicated airspace, and you know, sometimes I do a VFR, but most often I'm on IFR flight plans, and you know, dealing with the New York City Bravo, and it's crazy. But
pass. I don't know that I want to do that anytime soon.
Oh, it's chaos. But I do it a ton, so you know, I've become a very capable pilot in a short amount of time, and it's really been the training in this airplane. I mean, capable airplane, capable instructors, capable pilot. Yeah.
So you've got your commercial rating now. Are you going to just sit tight here for a while, or do you want to be an instructor and share aviation on a different kind of plane?
I do want to share aviation on a plane like that and be an instructor, but it is so much work for something that I probably won't use that much. You know, I would love to be able to give people their first flight hours, but I don't think that I can. I don't think I have enough time to dedicate to it, and I want to be a good instructor, and I don't think I can dedicate enough time to it now. I have gotten job offers to fly private jets because people watch my flying, and so they know who I am as an aviator.
Yeah, they know what you're about.
Yeah, but I just don't think right now I don't want to do it. I'm having too much fun. I want to keep this as an enjoyable hobby, you know. So we'll see, you know. We'll see. I'm not totally counting it out, but at this point, I'm enjoying just the Cirrus life.
Is there anything else that you can think of that we haven't talked about in both your career and your aviation life and your content creation you think that you would want to share with others?
Well, I think something that really means a lot to me is my relationship with Cirrus has been so great. This is not an ad. This is just like truly speaking from the heart. That what is very meaningful to me is that they put a bright pink plane out front and center at the Cirrus booth.
Yes, they did.
They didn't have to do that. The market isn't this, you know. Women make up like 7 or 8% of aviators, right? So they know that this could be polarizing. But I've watched the effect that it's had. I've watched little girls walk by with their dads.
Just right now.
Exactly. We just saw a woman just walked up and took a picture.
Like, I have to take a picture.
Women don't, you know, they're here with their husbands mostly. You know, the little girls are here with their dads.
Yeah.
You know, there are a lot of female aviators, but those tiny ones that were planting those seeds, you know, they're running up and going, Mom, you look at that plane. That plane's for me. You're dang right it's for you. Yeah. This plane is for all the girls out there. And even though pink isn't an inherently feminine color, you know, we've been trained to think that pink's feminine, right? So like having little girls walk up to the plane and take photos. And, you know, I had a little girl, Tallulah, who came up to me yesterday at my meet and greet. She just climbed right on the wing, climbed right in the cockpit. Like she was a little star, and she was moving that yoke around, and I could just see that seed. We just plant it, and, you know, maybe it won't grow. Maybe she'll have someone that inspired her as a kid, and that would be just unbelievable. So it is truly humbling, and I really am grateful to Cirrus for taking the risk of putting this plane out here, and the feedback's been amazing, and it has been so meaningful to me.
So obviously there's Tallulah, but have you had other experiences this week of people like, you totally inspired me to do what I'm doing now, and
beyond
thankful for what you bring?
I truly don't understand it, because I just feel like a goof who makes videos on the internet. Like, the whole thing blows my mind. Like, the fact that I need to wear a wig to go around Oshkosh is crazy. It doesn't make any sense. So I have had lines full of people asking me questions and telling me I've inspired them. And, you know, that woman just got her PPL in January because I inspired her. And her husband just got his PPL. Like, the fact that even one person was inspired blows my mind, you know? And so it's just been... I can't believe it. I can't believe I'm here.
Yeah. And that's a powerful influence you can have on people to help shape them in a way that's meaningful, and to go, aviation is within reach for me. So thank you for what you do in that space.
thank you for, appreciating it, because it's really, truly a dream come true.
Yeah. So what's next for you?
Hopefully getting 9 hours of rest in the evening. I am going to get in this plane after Oshkosh on Sunday, fly back to Indianapolis where we just bought a house, and we're going to hang out there with some friends for a little bit. My birthday's August 1st, so we're flying to Virginia to the Inn at Little Washington. We're going to do a little Michelin star restaurant moment, and hopefully just continuing. Oh, these little bugs are so cute. They really like me. Hi. So hopefully just continuing to make more videos and reach out to more people in general aviation. Hopefully working on this TV show, working on a scholarship, just continuing to build the brand and scale up and kind of just see where it takes me. But continuing to fly safe and enjoying my brand new airplane.
Awesome. So the last question I have, what advice do you have for people, whether it be a young child or even an adult later in life that's looking to get into aviation?
It's never too late to start. Start now. And just immerse yourself as much as you can. If you love aviation, why not start ground school? What's the worst that can happen?
Yeah,
you learn some stuff? Sounds pretty good to me. I'd say, get your medical ASAP. If you're really interested in flying, get that medical, because that can be a really big challenge for some people. I had a scare earlier this year. I told you a little bit about. I had a low-key brain surgery. I'm fine. Everything's fine. Very low-key. But I have stents in my head now. So get your medical early, get your paperwork together, and if you're just kind of interested in dipping your toes, book a discovery flight. Call your local flight school, get involved with them, get involved in the local EAA chapter, and there's no bad way to get started, and you're never too late, you're never too early. Just when you feel that bug bite you, like these bugs, get to it.
Maybe that's what they are. They're aviation bugs.
They're aviation bugs, and they're all over me.
Well, I cannot thank you enough for sitting down and chatting with me and spending some time of your very busy schedule here at AirVenture. I think it's been very beneficial to hear your story, and I hope to share that with others, and maybe we can inspire some more people.
That sounds amazing. It was truly a pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Thanks so much.